Today we have a guest in our studio who left his homeland of Cuba 10 years ago at the age of 24. We're going to hear the story about what caused him and his family to risk everything in search of a better life. I'm your host, Leah.
And I'm Phil.
And I'm Steve. Today we're going to learn about the life of Mr. Jorge Tarrau.
If you have an appetite for the strange and bizarre, then pull up a chair and grab a spoon for another intriguing serving of Remnant Stew. Remnant Stew is gluten-free, organic, made from all natural, free-range ingredients, and guaranteed to provide the recommended daily serving of curiosity.
We want to welcome you to our studio, Mr. Tarrau. Do you mind if we call you Jorge while we're chatting?
Yes, sir. I prefer Jorge. Yes, sir.
Very good.
Okay.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Very good. We're grateful that you've agreed to spend some time with us today. Before we jump right into your story, I thought it would be good for us and for our listeners to kind of go over some background information about your home country of Cuba.
Right.
And it helps me practice my teacher skills since I haven't had to scratch those a little bit. Cuba is the largest island in the Caribbean Sea, roughly the size of Pennsylvania. The country is home to some 11 million people. Cuba actually has a negative population growth, according to the CIA.gov. That's a CIA.gov has facts about all countries around the world. A negative population growth means they're actually decreasing in population. And this is thought to largely be due to the numbers of residents, like our guest here, who are leaving the island in most any way that they can. By the way, if anything that I say here, Jorge, if you want to jump in and make a comment, you can absolutely do that. Yeah. The island was inhabited by 3 different native tribes when Columbus landed on the north coast in October 28 of 1492. About 20 years later, in 1511, the Spanish conquistadors began colonizing the island. Soon they began importing slaves from Africa to work in their sugar and coffee plantations. Most of the natives actually died out due to diseases that were carried by the Europeans. Cuba would remain a Spanish colony for nearly 400 years from that original time of 1511 all the way up into nearly 1900. By the mid-1800s, more than 500,000 slaves worked Cuba's sugarcane plantation. By 1860, produced 1/3 of the world's sugar, and that's such a hot commodity at the time.
Right.
So it must have been extremely valuable. Though the slave trade would end in 1865, slavery itself would not be abolished in Cuba until 1886. And that came about as agriculture became more mechanized, so not as much need for slave labor, I suppose. But then that left a large part of the population in severe poverty with little work and few resources. By the late 1800s, many in Cuba began calling for national independence from Spain. The Spanish responded by doubling down on agricultural taxes and refusing to allow Cuban autonomy. They did promise to invest in reforms in Cuba, but they never followed through on these promises. Now, news of Spanish atrocities in Cuba spread to the United States during the late 1800s, 1890s. According to Britannica.com, what they called yellow journalism, that was based on sensationalism and crude exaggeration, notably in newspapers owned by the William Randolph Hearst Corporation, stirred up anti-Spanish sentiment in the United States against the Spanish. Right about that time, there was a mysterious explosion on the USS Maine, which was happened to be in the harbor at Havana, and actually sunk. That was in February of 1898, and that caused people to think that the Spanish had actually sunk the ship. Later was determined, I think it was maybe a boiler that exploded. But
right, at
the time, they didn't know that, and so that
sparked
the United States and Spanish, actually called the Spanish-American War. Yeah, and it was a very brief war, and as a result of which the United States forces captured Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. The war ended by the Treaty of Paris on December 10th, 1898. This treaty granted independence to Cuba. However, American troops occupied the island for another 4 years. The Platt Amendment in 1901 gave the United States some oversight of the Cuban government, and also allowed the United States to establish a naval base at Guantanamo Bay, which the United States still owns.
Gitmo. That's right.
Elections were held in Cuba for the first time, and they had their first Republican-elected government, took office in 1902. Unfortunately, for the next 30 years, government leaders were often corrupt and mismanaged the country's resources. A revolution against the corrupt leaders occurred in 1933 and saw the rise to power of a military leader named Fulgencio Batista.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Now, for the next 26 years, Batista either directly or indirectly was the head of Cuba's government. At first, it appeared that he was quite reform-minded, as his government policies were relatively sound and the economy of Cuba flourished. In addition to sugar and other agricultural products, Cuba developed a thriving tourist trade. Havana's hotels, casinos, and nightclubs attracted thousands of American tourists each year. By the mid-1950s, though, Batista began jailing his political opponents, using strong-arm tactics to impose his will and make fortunes for himself and his associates. In essence, he became Cuba's dictator. Still, the economy of Cuba thrived throughout the 1950s, especially in the urban areas, but a sizable number of the country's poor rural population became dissatisfied. They were ripe to be harvested by the energetic revolutionary Fidel Castro. Right. Castro had been one of those political opponents thrown in jail by Batista in 1952. 3 years later, he was released. Along with his brother Raul, he went to Mexico to plan the overthrow of Cuba's government. Upon returning to Cuba, he headed to the mountains and built a base there of several hundred guerrilla volunteers. At the same time, throughout Cuba, numerous groups of university students and members of labor unions began protesting the Batista regime. The U.S. pulled its support away from Batista, and he fled on January 1, 1959. And immediately, Castro and about 800 supporters marched into Havana and took control of the government. They quickly forged a following among poor peasants, urban workers, youths, and idealists. The Communist Party of Cuba assumed the dominant political role, and the state modeled itself on the Soviet bloc countries of Eastern Europe, becoming the first socialist country in the Americas. The regime progressively dissolved the capitalist system in Cuba by establishing a centrally planned economy, collectivizing agricultural production, forming ties with the Soviet Union, and dissolving labor unions, political parties, and associations of professional workers and farmers. Castro also nationalized hundreds of millions of dollars worth of U.S. property and private business. This triggered the U.S. to set a trade embargo against Cuba and also to cut off all diplomatic ties. It also led to an escalation of tensions between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, particularly when the Soviets tried to place missiles in Cuba in 1962.
I think that was the
same. You remember that?
Yeah, the same year. I was barely alive, but I knew what was going on. The same year of the Bay of Pigs invasion, when the U.S. tried to topple Castro. You were poorly planned and poorly executed.
You were barely alive, but you, but you remember it, right?
I remember people talking about it, yes.
I mean, I wasn't alive at the time, but I know about it. Right. Bolstered by their Soviet ties, Cuba tried to spread their brand of socialism to other countries in Latin America and in Africa. However, most countries refused to have dealings with Castro. Cuba became dependent on economic support from their Soviet and Eastern Bloc trade partners. But by the early 1990s, the USSR was bankrupt and communist governments in most locations collapsed. This left Cuba isolated. Amid severe internal shortages and with unrest and dissatisfaction growing, Castro declared a, quote, special period in peacetime, unquote, of food rationing, energy conservation, and reduced public services.
In other words, we're not having wartime rationing, we're having a special peacetime rationing because all of our support from Russia has disappeared, basically.
That's right. So unemployment...
That never ends.
Yeah, it's still in place, right? Unemployment increased. There were shortages of food, medical supplies, and raw materials, and fuel. All of those shortages were exacerbated by the ongoing U.S. trade embargo as well. Fidel Castro died in 2016, and his brother Raul stepped down as leader in 2018. Nevertheless, a new constitution in 2019 reaffirmed communist dominance through the continuation of a single party grounded in socialist principles. There's been some thawing of the relations between U.S. and Cuba. The U.S. reopened its embassy in Havana in 2015, and President Obama visited the following year. But the trade embargo remains mostly in effect. supply shortages and lack of opportunity makes daily life for most of the citizens of the island nation difficult.
Would you agree with that assessment, Jorge?
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, you could have done better. I mean, it's just really, really good.
Okay.
Very good. Well, so let's talk about your story. Can you tell us when and where were you born?
I born in Cienfuegos. It's a city close to Havana. It's around, I would say, 2 hours from Havana.
Okay.
It's in the center of the island.
Right.
Pretty beautiful city to the south.
Kind of in the mountains, or is it? Yeah.
Kind of close.
Yeah.
Cienfuegos has everything, I guess. He got agricultural, he got beautiful mountains, and he got beautiful beaches. It's a beautiful place.
Okay. And so how old are you? Like, what year were you born then? What year were you born?
1989.
1989.
Okay.
Yeah, 1989.
Okay. So you're 34 right now, basically. 30. Yeah.
Yeah, 34.
About 34.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I born in that period of time that they start rationing things. It was pretty tough.
Right.
I guess for my family. I didn't. As a child.
As a child, you don't really know.
Didn't realize as much. So tell us about your family a little bit. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I only have one sister.
Okay.
I'm the only one from my dad.
Okay.
My sister was with another.
Okay.
It's not
right
from my dad.
She had a different father than
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
half sister.
So my dad used to be in one of the branch of the government. I kind of compare here like a detective.
Okay.
So he was all his life on doing that.
So he worked for your father worked for the government.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, yes.
Like a detective, like a police detective, sort of.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
was that like on a local level, or was it for the
for the whole city? Actually.
The whole city of the okay.
Yeah. He ended being like the boss of the whole city in that branch. So he support the government with all his life.
So he supported the government.
Yes.
Because they were paying him.
So I basically grew up in a social family.
Right.
So, but my mom, she started realizing that it wasn't enough, the money that they get paying with the job.
Right.
So she kind of like start doing things on the side, like side work.
Work, right.
But in Cuba, the side work is not legal.
It's not legal to do that.
That's the only thing.
You can only do the work the government assigns for you.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is that the government they know that you have to do those side work, which are illegal.
Right.
They know that you have to do it to be able to live.
To survive. But they make it illegal to do it.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's one of the first, I guess that's the main weapons that they got against the people, because since they know that you are doing things wrong to be able to survive, they use that to have controls over you.
Wow.
Okay.
So was that part of your father's job then, to like investigate people doing side work and his detective work?
No. My dad's job was more criminals.
Okay, criminal work. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. People who kill other people and things like that.
So then your mother, she's doing some side work to make more money, even though that's illegal to do.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it's kind of funny because my dad, he cannot know that my mom.
He knew she was doing illegal work.
She kept it secret.
He
had to keep it a secret.
Oh, she didn't. He didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know.
He didn't know. Okay.
He didn't know, because if he know that, I mean, would it be bad?
Right. So she kept that a secret from her husband.
So, me growing up, we get to the point that I have to help her.
Okay.
Because she used to work on the store, close the store.
Uh-huh.
Like a thrift in here, for example. Like a Burlington store, for example.
Like a clothing store. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what she used to do, there's nothing bad or anything. She used to get the clothes in one price, lower price, pay it out, and then sell that same clothes somewhere else expensive.
Okay.
So she was not stealing anything.
Right.
She was paying.
She was buying at a low price and selling it higher.
Yeah. It's just free market, I guess.
Okay.
In these
Exactly.
words.
Which they're not supposed to have, a free market. Right?
Yeah, right? So that's why they make illegal that.
Right.
So, but I had to help her. That's growing up. And when I finally get my age to be able to work, I was around 14 years old. I started realizing how bad was everything there. I mean, how hard it was to get money.
We'll come back to that in a second. Tell us, what about school? Did you go to a school in Cuba?
Yes, actually school is free. It's supposed to be free.
Right.
It's really not free because they don't pay you money.
Right.
So the money is like, I would say Cuba has the most tax percent in the whole world.
The highest percentage of tax?
Yes. They don't call it taxes because they don't take it off your money. They simply just don't give it to you.
Oh, they take it before you even get it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
if you're supposed to get paid $100, you only get $20.
Like for example, like a doctor in Cuba, they must just a regular doctor in Cuba. You will get around $40. $40. That's all per month.
Per month.
Yeah.
$40 per month.
So like if you're gonna buy Coke, for example, in Cuba, it's $1.
Oh wow.
That's a big chunk of your monthly salary if you're only getting $40.
Okay, so tell me, what was your home like? I mean, where did you live? Did you have how did you have electricity? Did you have
Yes.
Because I can't even imagine being able to afford that.
Well, it's even hard when you have to afford food.
Sure.
Right.
Clothes, shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they force you to do illegal things to be able to live.
Right.
Like a doctor, he has to do things more to be a doctor to be able to survive.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So,
even a doctor.
Even a doctor, yes. Yeah. Yes. So that's why they got control. That's still happening in Cuba today's days. That's nothing that it was. No, that's still happening today's days. The same way.
What did your house look like growing up? Were you in a house or an apartment? Or
it was an apartment complex.
It was an apartment complex. Okay.
Was owned that apartment where I used to live was owned for my sister's dad. So when he left, he left that apartment to my mom and my sister, and then I let it on. I burned there, so that's where I grew up.
Right.
Okay.
So that was my mom, my sister. It would have been my house. It would have been my daughter's house. It's the same house for everyone.
You stay. Okay. Right.
Because there's no way to buy a new house or things like that.
Right.
Because it's very expensive.
Yeah. Right. Did it have like 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms?
2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms.
For my mom, my dad, my sister, and me.
Okay.
And then when my sister is older than me,
she's older than you.
Yes.
Her father's different than your father.
Yes.
Okay.
So when my brother-in-law get to home, they finally married. So I had to move. I used to sleep with my sister. I had to. I moved to my mom and dad's room.
Okay.
So that way my sister can have
the room with her husband. Yeah.
Right.
So it was pretty tight.
Yeah, not a lot of space. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty tight. It was pretty small spaces.
So you're growing up and you're in school, but you're getting like 14 or so, and you're going to realize, wow, my mom's having to work extra jobs that she's not supposed to do just to make ends meet, and just to put food on the table for us. And now you're 14, you're going to kind of help her in that. So in that timing, you're beginning to realize, what does the future look like for you in Cuba?
And that was my main concern. And actually, I did try to get a solution because I love baseball.
You love baseball, and baseball is very popular in Cuba. Right?
Yes, right. And then there is a lot of people that play baseball that get a better life because they can get they can get out there.
Right.
Like to come here, for example.
Yeah, for the Houston Astros, we have Yuri Gurriel that was from Cuba, I believe, right?
So that was kind of my first idea to start playing baseball.
Right.
And I used to be a good player of baseball there.
Right.
But I did get a lesson in my shoulder that I couldn't play anymore when I get to college.
I see.
So I had to get surgery, and they tell me a lot of things that needs to be done that, of course, it can't be done there.
Yeah.
Because the free and the health in Cuba, they say is free.
Okay, they say the medical care is free.
It's free, but it's really bad.
It's very bad. Bad quality. So if he needs
he
needs shoulder surgery, no, not going to happen.
Like, for example, like my sister, she needs to get surgery because she got something on the, I don't know how to say in English. Well, she had to get surgery.
Okay.
But we had to send her from here everything that way they can use it to with her.
So you mean you had to send her stuff from the United States to Cuba?
What normally is in the room.
Yeah.
To
the surgical equipment.
Yes, everything.
Right.
We had to send it from here to there.
Scalpels and
everything, even
gloves.
Oh goodness!
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So they just don't have it there.
They don't have it.
Yeah,
they don't have it. So what's the point to be free if you're gonna be dying there?
Right. Right. Okay. So then you're 14, you think, okay, maybe I can play baseball and make a better life for myself. Then you get, about 18, 19, and you realize, hurt my shoulder, and there's no solution for that. So
when I was 19, my daughter's born.
Your first daughter
born? My first daughter born.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a big challenge for me, like a teenager.
Right.
Nowhere to go. It wasn't the best decision, but it was what it was, I guess.
Right.
And I'm proud of her.
Right.
I can't be more happy.
Right.
With my daughter. She's awesome.
Right. But you're stuck as a 19-year-old with no way to provide for her, hardly.
Yep. Right. It was pretty hard, so I have to get out. I have to forget about play baseball, get surgery. I have to go work.
You had to figure something else out.
Yep.
So were there jobs offered to you in Cuba?
I started working in a warehouse store.
Uh-huh.
So it didn't make good money by the government, but I do have access to a lot of stuff that I can resell it.
Okay,
just
so you
start doing the same thing.
Same thing your mother
was doing, right? Yeah.
Just to be able to survive.
Right. So it's kind of what we would say in English, the black market.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and all that was in secret of my dad.
Right.
The secret side hustles.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty tricky because it's a small apartment.
Yeah. Not much place to hide things, I would think, yes.
And then, the good thing and the bad thing is that he always was working.
Uh-huh.
So
he wasn't home much.
He wasn't home much.
Yeah.
So. I mean, do you think he kind of knew, but just didn't,
I guess so.
But didn't really want to look too into it?
Yes, I guess so.
Look the other way, we would say.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Interesting.
He is. My dad, he is a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
But he, like, that old generation.
Right.
They grew up with that mentality.
Right.
The Kemnans. And it's like they see what's happening, but they don't want to see it.
Right.
So
they don't want to admit that what they believed in isn't working.
Yes. So like today's days, I talked to him about it, and he say, "I know you're right, but don't tell me."
That's interesting. So, as you're growing up there, then do you hear about the United States as a child in Cuba? Do you hear anything about it or not?
Well, by that time, pretty much every friends or every known person has someone related in here.
Okay.
Because they start immigrating from the 50s to here. So we got to get no person going back there showing money. Right. Showing better clothes and going to hotels. Like, for example, something that I would mention when you was telling your resume there, that hotels in Cuba, they were made for just the tourists.
So local can't go to the hotel?
Can't. Even if you got the money, you are not allowed to go.
Not allowed to go.
Oh, just for the tourists.
Yes. That changed. Around 2015,
2015, right.
Yeah. That's not too old when
right.
it changed. But even if you got money, you can't go. The only way that you can go to hotels if you got a family that comes from here to there and they pay for it.
So the family comes and stays in a hotel, then they pay for you to come. You can stay with the family there. Otherwise, you're not allowed to go to the hotel.
So I kind of realized
that's very limiting on people's movement and their freedom, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's no freedom there.
Yeah.
Not at all. And that's when I started realizing that something was wrong.
Right.
I mean, it's just common sense. Why they can and why I can't.
Yeah. That makes sense. So you start realizing, you hear about people in the United States, friends of family members of friends, they say, hey, life is better in the United States. So you start thinking about, well, maybe I should try to go there. You're like in your early 20s then now, right? So
around 18 when I start realizing really, really bad, I guess.
Yeah.
how bad it was, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I started working there when I was around 23. A cousin tell me, come to my home, and we always talking about, right? And he said, well, I have a choice. I have a way to get to the United States.
You have a way to get to, your cousin told you have a way to get to the United States. Okay.
And said, well, I said, just tell me. Well, he said, well, it's going to cost you a lot of money, but it's the only way that we can get safe, a little bit safe, to there.
Okay.
Basically, we were trying to fly to Ecuador because Ecuador was the only country that allows Cubans to fly without any visa.
So you could fly from Cuba to Ecuador?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So we basically start selling everything.
Okay, let's back up for just a minute. So who is this? Your daughter was born.
Yes.
And is her mother with you? I mean,
No.
No. Okay.
No. We get separated when she was 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then I married my current wife.
Okay, so you were married at the time that you started thinking about.
Yes.
Right,
okay. And so were you thinking about just you and your wife and your cousin or whatever? Who all was planning this trip to?
Just me and my cousin.
You and your cousin.
There's not enough money for me and my wife together.
Okay. So the plan was for you to go ahead and try to get to America and then,
And then
that happens a lot.
So when you're talking about a doctor's only making $40 a month and then you're trying to scrape up money for a plane ticket from Havana to Ecuador.
It cost me about $600.
$600. That took a while to save up that money.
Oh, yeah. And then the whole trip cost me around $5,000.
Wow.
You had to save that. So how long did it take you to save that kind of money?
I had to sell everything. I had to loan money from somebody else.
You borrowed somebody, yeah.
So I ended borrowing around, I would say, $3,000.
Okay.
And I was able to sell a couple of things that I got.
Right.
I basically leave my parents and my wife with nothing inside the house.
Right.
I sell everything. Just a fridge. That's the only thing that we live.
You had a refrigerator and that's it.
That's all. Yeah. It's pretty tough.
Right.
And then we were able to get the money and just get out there. It was. I would say it was the most tough decision that I ever made in my life.
Sure.
My family, my daughter, my wife, my land, my friends.
Right.
Everything behind.
Right.
I mean.
But you knew there was no future there for you, or a very difficult or bleak future at least, yeah.
No future at all.
Yeah.
No future. That's a place where there is no hope, no dreams. There is nothing. Cuban community is just zombies there.
Zombies. They're just existing, not really living.
They just go. They don't know where to go.
Yeah.
They're like machines. They're just doing one thing and come back. That's it.
Wow.
That's sad. So so the day comes and you get on the airplane in Havana to fly to
At this point, my dad
Ecuador.
he didn't know that I was coming to here.
Okay.
He thought that I was going to Ecuador, buy a couple things, and come back to resell in Cuba.
So you told your father you're going to Ecuador, and you kind of come back.
That's what I told him in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that day, I told him the truth.
The day that you left.
The day he went with me straight to the airport, and I told him the truth. And I thought he's gonna react like more furious against me.
Right.
But his word was like, bring me back to life. He said, wherever you go, whatever you do, you're always going to be my son. And man, that's
good.
That's great.
So he was supporting your decision.
Yes. And
even if he didn't like it, he was supporting it. Right?
Yes. Well, the thing is that the government in Cuba always tell the children from daycare all the way to the college. United States are bad.
Right.
The Cuban government, they're the goods.
So they always tell the children of even school, the United States is bad.
Yes, that indoctrination comes from the first years.
They're indoctrinated like that.
So, I'm supposed to come to the bad place where the bad guys are.
Right.
So for me, it was kind of scary all the time to tell him the truth, where it's going to be my goal to get. And man, but he bring me back to life, to life that day.
That's good.
So what was the plan after Ecuador?
So you get to Ecuador. What happens next?
Walking all the way to the United States.
Walking.
Oh, wow.
Oh, goodness.
Sometimes was walking, sometimes was in the bus.
Right.
Right, but okay.
We basically have smuggle people there that they call it the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
professional smugglers, basically.
Yeah, that's what we would call a coyote.
Coyote.
Yes. Coyote, yes. Yeah. Basically, that's what they are.
Right.
So we paid them we actually have two. One is going to bring it from Ecuador all the way to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then from Mexico, there's another guy to bring us to the United States.
And you're really putting your life into their hands.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've had several instances here in Texas where semi-trailers have been found with...
Well, the thing is, you don't know where you go.
Yeah.
Or where you're going to be going.
Right.
Exactly. You really are trusting.
They say, well, you're going to be doing this now, and there's no way to go back. I mean, you got to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
The only safe, or I would say the only insurance that we have is the money.
Right.
And the money we didn't have with us. We send them here to the United States.
You sent it ahead.
Yes. So they were paying from here all the way till we get here.
Okay.
So there was somebody here you sent the money to. How was the money sent? If you can tell, how was the money sent? Yeah.
Well, a friend of my cousin, he went to Cuba, and we give them the money in cash.
Okay.
So how he sent it from here to there, I guess, Western Union or I don't know, to be honest.
Telegraphed somehow. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how that worked at that time.
Right. You trusted them and it worked.
Yes. They were very good friends. That's actually the house where we get here. When we get here, that's the house where we stay the first days.
Right. Okay, so you make your way then from Ecuador through Colombia, Central America, Mexico.
Yes, I would say the worst countries was Colombia and Mexico.
Right.
Okay, why were they the worst?
The way that they trade us, like, there are cartels who move us.
Okay.
I mean,
for
us, for me, it was really scared. I never see people with that kind of control. Right. They come with you with guns and body armors and cars, and they just talk to you like, you got to do it.
Yeah.
There's now a nice way. They didn't tell anything in a nice way.
Right.
You're really a product to them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're a product.
Yes,
you're not a human.
That's how it is. Exactly like how it is.
So then you get to Mexico, and then where do you come across to the United States?
I came from Laredo, Texas.
Okay.
And that time used to be allows Cuban to go straight to the Border Patrol agents and tell them that we are Cuban, and I want to ask for asylum.
Right. So, you could ask for asylum from Cuba.
Yes. So
to the Border Patrol agent in Laredo.
So they take us inside the building and start doing the process. They give us like interview, why I'm asking for asylum, why I'm here, what I used to do in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
I just tell my story.
Right.
Right.
Did you have any identification showing you're from Cuba?
My passport.
Your passport, okay.
My passport, yeah.
Okay.
I still haven't that old passport.
Yeah, that's a keepsake for sure.
Yeah, I still have my old passport.
So let me ask: did you speak any English at this time?
Not at all.
Not a word.
Zero.
Okay.
Zero English.
Okay.
When I get here, only the basic like good morning.
Right.
Good morning.
Yeah.
That's because they teach us English in Cuba.
Okay.
In the school, but it's really bad. Nobody knows anything.
Right. Just a very basic amount.
Very basic. And most part of the time, you don't even pay attention to the class.
Right.
So, it took like 3 or 4 days there, and they release us with a parole.
Mm-hmm.
And that parole allows us to ask for a work permission.
Okay.
So, give you a way to be legal in here.
To be able to work.
Yes,
right.
to be able to work.
Be able to work. So now, did you know? Well, you said your cousin's friend lived in the United States. Then,
yes.
Were you trying to make your way to where he was then? Or
that's a funny story. We get here when we get out of the Border Patrol building. They send us to Houston in the bus.
Okay, so put you on a bus to Houston.
Yes,
from Laredo.
From Laredo to Houston.
Wow,
Yes.
that's a long way.
And it was December,
right?
Very, very cold for us.
You probably haven't been that cold before. Yeah.
Never before.
So I remember this was 2013
was one of the coldest years.
One of the coldest years. Yeah, it was cold. Yeah.
So the other thing is
2012. Yeah.
In one point, I don't even know what city it was or what town it was. The bus stopped there, and I only have $5 in my pocket.
Right.
And my cousin 15.
Uh-huh.
That's all the money that we got.
Right.
And we were looking for a coffee, try to get warm.
Uh-huh.
But we used to drink the espresso in Cuba. That's the coffee that we drink.
Yep.
We didn't drink the whole cup.
Right.
Like,
just the little small cups espresso.
Just espresso.
The European style, yeah.
And we were looking around, where is the coffee here? Where's the coffee?
Uh-huh.
We find the machine, but was a cup, a whole cup.
Yeah.
And we drink it without any cream, no sugar.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what to put on. I mean, everything was in English, of course. Right. But that coffee without anything helped us a lot.
Uh-huh.
It was really cold.
Yeah.
I mean, really cold. Really, really cold. And when we cross from Mexico to United States, the cartels don't allow you to take you anything.
Right.
No backpacks, no extra clothes or anything.
So you get nothing, just what you got on what you're wearing.
Just basically. What you're wearing.
Yeah.
We get to Houston bus station. We tried to find a taxi.
Mm-hmm. We
got an address to go. It was an apartment complex.
Uh-huh.
When we get there, it was raining. It was kind of not snowing, but like ice raining.
Right. Sleet, yeah.
Man, it was so cold.
Right.
And it took us like 45 minutes to find an apartment because we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
We know the address and the apartment number.
Right.
But we don't know how to look for the building numbers or anything like that. It took us like 45 minutes to find it.
Uh-huh.
When we find it and we get there, man, that was so nice.
So somebody was waiting for you there.
Yes, they were waiting for us.
Yeah.
But they have no way because we had no cell phones or any way to communicate with them.
Right.
Let them know that we are here or anything like that.
So
you knocked on the door.
We knocked on the door.
So I'm sure you're wondering, okay, what did I do here? I've left my nice warm country that I was, it wasn't good, but at least I was familiar with it and gone to this cold place and don't know anybody.
Which I've never really thought of Texas as cold, but
comparison.
But yeah, comparatively.
Well, it can be cold for sure.
Somebody from a more southern place than us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, in Cuba all year is hot.
Right.
Like Canadians go to Cuba, not in summertime.
Right.
They go on wintertime.
Wintertime, right.
So it's too warm.
Yeah.
It's not warm.
Yeah.
So for us, it was really big change.
So then kind of take us through the process. So you get to this apartment, people are helping you. And so how long before you're able to start working here?
We actually started working illegally in a warehouse, 99 cents warehouse.
Okay.
Was not illegal, I would say, or kind of it, because we showed them that we have a way to get the work permission in a few months.
Right. So but you just hadn't had it yet.
Yes.
Right.
So they let us work in the 99 cents warehouse in Katy.
Katy is a suburb of Houston, yeah.
I know how to drive car because my dad used to have a car in Cuba.
Uh-huh.
So I know how to drive.
You learned how to drive, right?
That was pretty good for me because most Cubans don't know how to drive.
Really?
They have a car. I mean, have a car in Cuba is like...
We see pictures of Cuba.
Have a yacht in here.
And we see pictures of Cuba, and the cars that we see are like from the 50s. You know, they're older Chevrolets that you see.
Yeah, because the embargo. Right. Yeah, the embargo. Cars quit. Yeah, it prevented cars from being shipped over there.
Yes and no, actually.
Okay.
It's the government who don't want that.
Right. It's who? Oh, the government doesn't.
Because the government can get cars. For rentals and tourists and things like that. Why they don't get cars to sell the people in there?
Okay.
Right. That's
what I'm saying.
That's a way.
So now that they're getting it.
Yeah, so they are.
So they say they're getting it, but they're crazy expensive.
I bet.
Yeah, like I would say, like for example, like Toyota Corolla, 2006.
Yeah,
they sell that car in there for around $70,000.
Okay.
Oh goodness.
Yes, it's crazy.
Wow,
it's crazy expensive.
So they can get them, but it's expensive.
They can get them. Yeah, of course they can get them.
So anyway, so you're starting to work here, and did you go to school to learn English too, or something?
No, zero.
You picked. How did you? Your English is so good. I think
that's full immersion.
Well,
you had to learn.
I was being here around a year. That year already, I've been passed for different types of jobs, construction, in the jar, cutting jar and things like that.
Right.
My wife came, actually.
Yeah, I was going to get to her in just a minute.
In that year. And then I was looking at a job online. That's when I started knowing a little bit more about the internet. I got my first computer in here, my first laptop.
First time you'd been on the internet when you got
online
here,
searching.
Right?
Yeah, I never seen that before in my life.
Right.
So I started getting into it, and I found a job on Craigslist. For DirecTV.
Okay.
And when I called the guy, of course, he's American. We called it the gringo.
Yeah.
And he, of course, I didn't understand anything. And the only thing that I understand was wait from him. The word wait. And he found someone who speaks Spanish.
Right.
Antonio started talking to me if I got experience doing any cable. I said, well, I don't have experience, but I do want to work. I would do everything that I can to learn if you guys give me the opportunity to do it.
Sure.
Sure enough, they give it to me and start working with Antonio.
That was with DirecTV?
DirecTV. Yeah. I was training for like 2 months on the field with them. And I learned the basic English for the work. And that first week when I started going by myself, I'm never gonna forget it. Never. Because the thing is, when you go to inside a customer house, that customer usually, like you talk to me, for example, and start talking about things. That customer is expecting you to speak with him to explain better or how you doing. Where you live or
what their problems are.
Yeah. That's normal communication, right? I wasn't prepared for.
Right.
I wasn't prepared. I was just prepared just to give, this is your box, this is your TV, and this is your remote.
I should point out here that I met Jorge a couple of months ago when he came out to install the new internet at my house. And just like you're saying, we started talking, and I asked you where you were from, and when you said Cuba, I said, really? I said, and so I got intrigued in his story at that time. And so now how long you been working for DirecTV and
I was
that
working
type of work?
for like 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And then that guy, he lost the contract with DirecTV when AT&T bought DirecTV.
I see. Okay.
He lost the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So he opened another company with Consolidated Communication.
Right.
But by that time, I was the last guy to get there. So he couldn't take me with him.
Okay.
Just a few opens there. So, but he called me 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I still working DirecTV all the time, but through AT&T. So my English was getting better with the days. And he said, you want to come with me here to Consolidate? I said, of course I want to go with you.
Right.
I didn't even think about it because that person gave me the
He was looking out for you already.
Yes.
Before, yeah.
He gave me the opportunity of my life. Right. So I got his back.
Right.
So I went there, and it has been pretty pleasant for me working here.
So mostly since you've been here, then how long after you got here did you start working for DirecTV, would you say?
I would say like a year and a half, maybe.
About a year and a half? So you were working whatever job you could get?
Yes.
Until
that opportunity came to work with DirecTV.
Yep.
And then how long did it take for your wife to get here after you?
Yeah, let's go back and talk about her.
Like 6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
One day, well, at that time, there's no, like today's day that you can call by WhatsApp or like Facebook or Messenger. It's just got to buy a car and you got to put that money in there and then you can call them.
Okay.
So communication wasn't too good.
Right.
And I talked to her maybe like 3 times a week because I wasn't getting enough money to be able to make that because it was expensive.
Right. Expensive to talk more.
So, but one day she said, well, I know your friends are building a boat. I go in there with them. I say, are you crazy? I mean, because we see that all the time. We hear those stories all the time. People making boats.
Making boats, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not making it here.
So let's go back and talk about your wife a little bit. Was she from the same town that you grew up?
Yes, same town. I actually married her when I started working. Mm-hmm. We were working the same warehouse.
Okay.
So that's where we met there.
Okay. Is she the same age as you about, or?
She's a little bit older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, she's 3 years older. She's 37 now. Uh-huh. I'm 34. So.
By the way, we invited Jorge's wife to come today, but
she wasn't scared.
She wasn't as comfortable speaking English as Jorge.
Yeah, she's kind of scared. Her English is not too good. It's not like me. I guess I have to learning.
Right. You got thrown in the deep end.
I was kind of forced.
So,
which I'm glad.
So, but she had a similar kind of upbringing as you.
Yes, though. Yes, we had the same. I mean, we got to do the same thing to survive there.
Right.
So,
was she from a larger family or a small family too? Or
no, actually, she's from a small family. Is her mom and 3 sisters.
Okay.
Her dad never take care of her. Mm-hmm. He's actually here today's days.
Okay.
And now today's day they're talking a little bit more. But he never take care of her.
So he was kind of abandoned them.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just her, 2 sisters, and her mom. Mm-hmm. That's all. Which they're still in Cuba. She's the only here.
She's the only one here.
Yep.
So you made the trip, and you sent back word then when you got here that, hey, I made it here safely. But how long from Ecuador to Laredo? How many days, weeks?
Exactly a month.
1 month.
Exactly.
So from Ecuador to Laredo.
Actually, from Cuba, I get out of Cuba November 3rd, and I get here December 3rd.
Oh, okay. So all the way from Cuba.
From Cuba to Ecuador through Central America and Mexico, 1 month to get here.
And then once you started working and everything, where were you living? Were you still living with that cousin's friend? Or?
No. when we started working that warehouse, was in Katy.
Okay.
And they used to live on Southwest Houston.
So
we had to find an apartment close to Katy.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved there. Me and my cousin, we moved there. It was really cheap, around $500.
Okay, you found a cheap apartment to stay in. Yeah.
So we used to get like, I believe it was like $7.59 an hour.
Okay.
But that time was really low, but enough for us.
So you're making $7.50 an hour.
Yeah.
But you and your cousin together.
Yep. So it was enough for us
enough for you to live on.
Pay the rent and just get food and clothes, just normal life.
Right. Did you have a car then, or did you?
We bought a car together.
Okay.
Because she was a 98 Ford Explorer.
Okay.
Cost us $2,000.
Okay.
So I called the car Hilario. we put the name.
Right. Yeah. Some of us name our cars too. So.
Yeah. Well, we do too. So.
So yeah, it was. My first car was a dream come true. So
you're living the American dream, even though you're making $7.59 an hour.
Yes, sir.
But to you, it was amazing compared to what you had. Back in Cuba.
I got nothing there.
Right.
Not only that I got nothing, is that I have no dreams to get anything. So.
Yeah, no way to
go forward. So your wife then says, "Okay, I want to be there with you, and I know these people making a boat, and I'm coming."
And I come and say, "No, you're not."
You try to talk her out of it. Yeah.
I tell her, "No, you're not." I say, "Well, I ain't going." And then I start telling her the true stories, what can happen. And she say, "I don't care. That's my way out, and I had to try it."
Right.
I say, "Well, I will wait for you here."
So can you tell us about that? What she, it was it's kind of a homemade boat of some kind.
Homemade boat. I mean,
what do they make it out of?
They make it with anything they can, like foam, like wood, and they put a car engine on it.
A car engine, okay.
Oh no!
Yes,
my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, the way that they had to be some way how to cool the engine, right? So that hot water that was getting inside the engine was getting inside the same boat when it wasn't here.
So the water just went into the boat?
Yes. So I had to take that hot water out of the boat.
So they're bailing water out of the boat
all the trip.
Right.
It took them 20 hours. From Havana to Marquesa Keys.
Wow, it's the Keys of Florida. So
yes,
Florida Keys.
Marquesa. Oh my goodness!
20 hours.
Okay, so this is your wife and your daughter?
No,
just your
just
wife.
My wife.
Okay.
Yes, my youngest daughter born here.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
So how many were in the boat with her? Do you know?
23 persons. She was.
Oh my goodness!
She wasn't around 18-footer.
18-foot boat. 23 people.
Yes, and she was the only woman.
Only woman.
Which kind of helped her a little bit because everyone's
they were looking out for her.
Yeah. So.
And how long? Tell us again. How long did it take?
20 hours.
20 hours. Wow.
Yeah.
And all the time having to bail hot water out of the bottom of the boat.
All the time.
Wow.
There was a moment that the same engine got stuck with one of the backpacks.
Oh.
In the middle of the sea.
So like the backpack got caught up in the mechanism of the engine?
So it took them like an hour to try to fix it. Hopefully they was able to fix it and they started getting the way again.
Wow.
But that's one of the main problems. That's how many people dies in that trip there.
Because I've heard of a lot of people dying trying to make it across.
I mean, a lot.
Right.
Because we met some Cubans. When she already got here, we met some Cubans that get out 30 person on the boat. And only 15 made it.
Oh,
wow.
Because it was drifting for like 20 days on the sea, and they was basically just jumping the bodies of the boat.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty bad. Yeah.
So what does the government do once they reach the Keys? The
United States government.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, like the same law that used to be for us when we reached the border.
Yeah.
It calls, I guess in English, is wet dry. Foot dry, foot wet, something like that.
Yeah.
In Spanish, it means like pies secos, pies mojados.
Okay.
So
If you got 1 foot dry.
Yes. If you
on
basically
the shore.
what that means is that once you put your foot on the land, you are allowed to ask for asylum.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Sometimes they would catch boats.
If they catch you in the sea, they return you back.
They turn you around.
Okay.
So
okay.
That doesn't exist anymore. Actually, Obama, the last day in office, took the law off.
Okay.
So, she was able to make it straight to the land, and
so she got to the Florida Keys.
Yes.
And did she let you? Was she able to let you know that you made it?
No, I didn't. They had no communication, no cell phones, no anything.
Oh my goodness.
So they say, or she said that it was a plane going around them. That she may, or they may alert the Coast Guard. So they came. The Coast Guard they came straight to the land, and they pick up them.
Right.
And they took it to the I guess to Miami.
Okay.
That's where they start processing them.
I see. So the Coast Guard picked them up. They got to the Florida Keys with on American soil.
Yes.
All right. We'll pick you up and take you in and start process. So she came through Miami.
Yes.
So did she call you from there, or
she called me from there.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she called me from there, and actually I did drive from here to Miami to get her and bring it back to here.
That's a long drive.
But
in my '98 Ford Explorer.
But better than the boat she came in on.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And you could stop for food.
So she
restrooms, that kind of stuff.
So you knew she was going to try to come. You maybe didn't know exactly when.
That's the other thing, that everything needs to be in secret. There, because the government is funny. The government don't want you to leave.
Yeah.
But then they want you to go back.
Right.
Because they want you to bring back money to the country.
Yeah.
So it's like a double standard.
Yeah. A double standard. That's a good way of putting it.
Yep. So it's
okay.
It's pretty.
So I imagine that was a happy reunion when you were.
Oh yeah. I was working when she called me.
Yeah.
I was working when she called me, and she said, "I'm here." So, oh my gosh.
See, I just don't think that we realize. I got these kids that have grown up, and they just don't realize how good we have it, and we we've struggled with money, and we've struggled, but we've always had. We were never afraid of the government. We have always had the opportunity. We, if you want it to work, you could work. And you could make a living. I mean, not everybody. I mean, sometimes things are tough, and I know that the cost of living is higher than minimum wage. But
but if you are able to work, you can make it.
Right.
That's something that I learned here. As long as you can work, as long as you go out every day and work, you can make your life up.
Right.
I mean, I came here with I said no English, no friends, or just a few friends, but no families.
And $5.
$5 in my pocket.
Right.
And now I speak English. I got family here. I'm not rich, but I am able to make a life.
But rich is relative.
Yes.
You are rich.
Yeah.
You are rich. So, was there any repercussions for your family back home?
No.
No, that's good.
No,
that's good.
Like I said, it's a double standard.
Yeah.
Once you are out, they just don't care. They just want you to go back and send money to them.
Right.
Okay.
So
they don't want you to leave, but they do want you to send money back when you get here.
Yeah. That's how they survive. That's actually that's how they're surviving. Because in the beginning you were saying that sugar was one of the main action to get money in Cuba.
Right.
And they destroy all the plants.
Yeah. Oh, sugar. Oh,
yes. They destroy everything.
Oh.
So Cuba
the communists did.
Yeah, they actually don't export sugar anymore.
Wow. What do they grow now? Do they have collective farms? Or?
That's one of the problems. They don't produce anything.
Really?
That's one way for the government to control the people.
They don't produce anything.
Are there still farmers that have small farms or anything like that?
There's small farms, but
try to subsist on their own or what?
But the thing is, for example, for a farmer, when they produce something, they have to sell that to the government. By the law, they can't sell them to wherever they want to. They can't.
Yeah, have to sell it to the government at the government's price.
And then the government sell to the people. So they got to sell that produce to the government really, really cheap. And then the government resell to the people really, really expensive.
So there's no incentive then for farmers really to work hard and improve their land and, improve production or anything?
The only way they do it is just illegally. Yeah. Which is just selling their own produce to a different person.
Right. A black market again.
Yeah. But the government, that's illegal.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Now, you said that your sister just came last month then.
Actually, yes. That's kind of a funny story. Because she came she get out of Cuba exactly the same day like I did, but 9 years later.
9 years later, right.
Okay.
Same day. And then she gets to the United States the same day that I get here. 9 years later.
Now, did she come the way you did? A little bit different, but through Ecuador?
Yes. No.
Okay.
She went to Nicaragua.
Okay.
So it's kind of more close.
Yeah.
Now Nicaragua is the way to the Cubans get out.
Right.
So they fly to Nicaragua and then the same, just smuggling to get here.
Right.
But now there's signs there's not a law that allows you to go straight to the border patrol. They got to smuggle them into the country. Once they are into the country, they find an agent, border patrol agent, and then they turn themselves in. Right.
Okay.
Oh, so they have to get across the border this time.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Once they actually be here.
Yes,
not at a border checkpoint, but actually get here, across the river somehow, and then say, I'm seeking asylum from Cuba.
Yep.
So it's a little more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to go back to that point I made that this is dangerous. We do have news stories popping up from time to time, usually in the summer months, where a truck, a box truck or a semi-trailer will have been abandoned by a coyote or somebody working for the coyote, and it's full of people who are locked in, and they die of the heat and no water and dehydration, things like that. Or a lot of these people are made into slaves.
Yep.
Basically, you've got the massage, quote unquote massage parlors that employ the women that they have to work there, and it's it's just really bad.
Human trafficking.
Human trafficking.
Human trafficking for me as an immigrant is one of the main problems of our society. I mean, it's really bad in any ways because there is good people searching for a better life,
right?
And there is bad people that are trying to make bad life to somebody else,
right?
And all ones get in the same package, so it's hard to tell you who is who,
right?
When everyone comes in the same truck, I guess, right? So it's really hard. It's really hard for us as an immigrant to make it and to demonstrate that we are good. Like the Cuban community here in the United States, right now we have a fight against people who are coming that used to support the government in there. People who used to trade the opposition in Cuba. Those people who are trying to get in here, they're actually in here, and we are fighting against that.
So you're trying to point them out. Wait a minute, these people were causing the problems back there while we had to leave.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I guess it got to be a way to control who is getting in every country. Like right now, they just changed a lot for Cubans, Venezuelans, and I believe it's for Haiti too. That you can, like I was telling you before, you can sponsor someone back in Cuba.
So you're able to sponsor somebody and bring them here.
Yes, I'm bringing him.
And what do you have to do to be able to sponsor them?
Just show the government that you are able to support them.
Show the United States government you're able to support this. Yes. You're trying to do that with your older daughter.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. Basically, what they call is humanitarian parole. That's how they get out.
Right. Humanitarian parole. Okay.
So when they get here, with that parole, they start doing all the process to get the work permission,
right?
Then the green card, and then the citizenship.
Right.
So that's a way. That's actually, I see it. It's a good way. It's a way, I guess.
Right.
It's a way to make a process go through.
That's good. I think that, there's not any easy solutions, to the whole immigration problem, because there are definitely people that have very difficult lives who are willing to work and want to come. And, it's a matter of, I don't have the solution, but it's something our country struggles with. I think,
and at the same time, you got somebody that's just absolutely a criminal,
right?
And so they, they come here and they do their thing here, they get sent back, they do their thing there, and they bounce back and forth,
right?
Yeah. And so and I just looked this up because I knew I had read it somewhere, and again, I don't have any answer or anything like that, and we don't want to bring politics into all of it because nobody has a real true answer for this, but there are more slaves today than ever before in the history of the world. There are currently about 50 million people worldwide in modern slavery, and that due to trafficking,
human trafficking,
and not just through immigration, taking advantage of people that want to immigrate. But
what's that website you're looking at there?
This is that's good. Thank you for reminding me. This is International Labor Organization. So it's ILO.org that says that. And people enter into human slavery in different ways, but immigration is definitely one of the biggest amount of people that are taken advantage of.
So, Jorge, you've been here now 10 years, and you see the contrast from the system where you grew up, and then from what the system is here now. And you told me when you were out of my house something about, sometimes we hear people calling for a more socialist economic system in the United States. How do you react to that?
I'm just going to tell you my own experience on that point. I used to live in a socialist country, and I got no freedom. I got no hope. I got no dreams. Nothing. That's why I like so much United States. And when you're born in a country like this, like you guys, and you don't realize what you get till you don't have it.
Right.
The value of the freedom that we got in here is just amazing. I mean, there's not money in the world that can buy that. And I'm telling you because I know how to live without freedom. I know how to live without my own thinking. I can't express it in Cuba. So when I see people pushing for that, it makes me mad and scared at the same time.
Right.
Because, like I said, you don't know what you got till you don't have it. And the problem is with the socialism, which is going to turn to communism later on. When you get to that point, it's really hard to go back.
You can't turn it around.
You can't. Because when you get that point, they already have control over you. So it's better not to get there.
Now, have you been back to Cuba?
Yes, twice.
Okay.
The last time was in 2020. Was for a week. Was for my daughter's birthday.
What does it feel like when you go back there?
It feels strange. For us, the immigrants, I used to say that you don't belong there and you don't belong here. It's tough.
Right.
It's tough because special days like Christmas, like holidays, like New Year, like birthdays, like I'm alone here. Just my wife and one daughter, or my family. Well, I got now my sister.
Right.
But there's just my family, my friends, they're still in Cuba.
Right.
So when I get there, it's like I'm happy and I'm excited to see them.
Right.
But when I start looking, it's sad.
Sure.
It's sad how bad things in there. It's sad the way that they use the clothes, the cars, the streets, the buildings. Nothing changed. Still the same.
No maintenance or anything.
Still the same.
Yeah.
Same ugly, poor stuff. Like, it's expecting a little bit change, right? That's what life is about. Just keep going.
You expect things to improve a little bit,
yes,
but it doesn't.
Nothing at all.
Mm.
I just saw my dad and my mom just more all. And still there. The same apartment, same bed, same TV. I mean,
same thing you left.
Same thing I left. It's sad. It's really sad.
Or is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything that we haven't asked that you wish we had, or anything that you want to say about your story, your experience?
I just want to say that I'm so proud to be here. I'm so thankful to be in the United States. This country opens me the door and give me hope again, or I would say for the first time, and makes me dream again with a better life for me, my family, my daughters. I can't be more happy, and I just want people to think about it a little bit, about what we got in here and how about we need to protect it. We need it. We need that freedom. We need that right to speak, to say whatever we want to say, because that's really big.
Right.
Very thankful with you guys to give me the opportunity to tell my story.
You're making us all tear up.
Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming here and telling your story.
It's my pleasure. I guess that's one of my ways to fight back against all the socialists and the communists that for years have been killing people back in my country. And you were saying there, Cuba was the first country in America, and they started exporting that. They're exporting to Venezuela, for example.
Right.
Venezuela used to be one of the most rich countries in the whole America.
They've squandered it, haven't they?
Look what they got now.
Yeah.
It just don't work.
Right.
It just don't work.
Jorge Tarrau. Amazing story. Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here.
Phil here reminding you to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages at Remnant Stew Podcast. Drop us an email or staycurious@remnantstew.com just to say hi or let us know about any topics you would like to hear us cover in an upcoming episode.
Remnant Stew is a part of Rook and Raven Ventures and is created by me, Leah Lamp. Dr. Stephen Meeker and I research, write, and host each episode along with commentary by our audio producer, Philip Sinquefield. Theme music is by Kevin MacLeod with voiceover by Morgan Hughes. Special thanks goes out to Judy Meeker, Harbin Gould, and Jorge.
Yes. Thank you. Now, before you go, please hit the follow button so you don't miss an episode. Head on over to Apple Music and leave us a review. We love seeing those reviews. Share Remnant Stew with your friends and your family. Until next time, remember to choose to be kind and always stay curious.